I put together a management presentation that's around 20 slides long. So anytime someone new joins my team, I go through this with them and I say, this is how I manage. This is my background. This is how I think about things. These are the expectations, not of the job, but just of like general management of how I do things and how much trust I'll extend at the beginning. And what the qualities I'm sort of expecting, right? Like, so things like transparency, it's okay if things don't go well, but you just need to tell me, right? That transparency is number one. And, if you're honest with me, like, this is how I'll handle it, even if it's a bad outcome, things like that. So I go through a ton of those things at the beginning, because I think that sets it just sets a really good tone. Because now, think about it from the other person's perspective. And this is, again, where sort of the mentalism ideas come in. They're starting a new job. They're afraid of not meeting expectations, right? They want to do a good job. They want you to be happy with their work. And by having this presentation, it really reduces the anxiety, because they're like, oh, okay, Gary cares about these types of things. He doesn't care about these other types of things. Right?
Hello and welcome. Happy Monday. I don't think I've ever said that before on the podcast. It's nice to be releasing an extra episode this week. Well, a few extras. No spoilers. If you are a fan of that old TV show, The Mentalist, or if you'd like to be better at reading the room, building rapport with your people, perhaps understanding more about human nature, whether as a leader or not, then this is the episode for you. Because my guest today for this very special episode in our run-up to the big 200 is Mr. Gary Chan. Gary is a security specialist, a mentalist, a speaker, and a leader who stops the bad guys while creating memorable experiences for audiences, including, I hope, you today, listener and viewer. If you do enjoy this episode, please let me know. Leave a rating or a review, and if you would like to dive deeper into leadership, expand your knowledge, seek some guidance or support, or just have a conversation about it, then do pay a visit to the website. It's www.leadingwithintegrity.co.uk. And there you will find articles, free resources, including my PDF guide to your first steps into leadership. There's a heroes and values quiz. There is links to book a workshop, sign up for the Leader Not a Boss newsletter that goes alongside this podcast. And of course, a link to come and join my Integrity Leaders online community, where you'll get all of these things and much more besides. So that link is in the show notes too. And as always, do reach out if you have questions, because I would love to hear from you.
Welcome to the Leading with Integrity podcast. Leadership talk for the modern manager. With your host, David Hatch.
Gary, welcome to Leading with Integrity. Lovely to have you on the show. Looking forward to our conversation, which will no doubt be interesting.
Oh, thank you, David. A pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. Well, push you into the deep end a little bit, really. Tell us a bit about yourself, your career so far, what you do today, and why you do it.
Oh, sure. So my name is Gary S. Chan, and I am the Chief Information Security Officer for SSM Health, which is an $11 billion US dollar healthcare system based in the Midwest in the United States. So as part of that, I lead a team of about 45 information security experts. And then on the side of that, I do security mentalism shows, which are sort of these magic performances teaching people security, because I love security. I think everybody should like it, and I turned it into a magic show. So I've had a number of different jobs, all within security over the past couple of decades, 4 security certifications, and a bachelor's in electrical engineering and computer science from MIT. So that's a little bit about me, David.
Okay. Not something that you usually find going together, I think, is like magic and security. I mean, where did that idea come from? Tell us a bit more about that.
So I've been doing magic, just since I was a kid. It's just been fun and performing that just completely separate from doing security. And one day the FBI asked me to do some magic for one of their events because they wanted somebody that they knew because I was doing a lot of security stuff and they knew me from that. But they also knew I did magic. And I said, okay, and what do you want me to do? And they said, well, we're hoping that you can do magic that would be great for FBI people. And I said, I don't know what that is. Do you know what that is? And they said, well, no, we're hoping you could you knew what that was. And I'm like, no, because I didn't want to look like a fool in front of people that I know. So COVID happened. And then I was thinking, well, if I want to, no one's hiring for performers. So I thought, if I could create something completely fresh that nobody else has, that would be hard for somebody to replicate, what would that be? Well, I know security and I know magic. So I kind of merged the two, and I spent about a year building a completely new show. And it started out with the idea of, here is how an FBI agent would do an interrogation. And then the second half was, this is how a mentalist would do an interrogation. And I performed it for the FBI, and they loved it. So I thought, oh, well, there's something here. So long story short, it just sort of grew from there. A lot of people started coming out and asking me to do this. And then I started expanding that. And now I've got like 30 different modules. One's on interrogation like that. And I've got a bunch of other stuff that people always ask me about. So I turned security into a magic show. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, it sounds very cool. And I like the way you just casually dropped in there, the FBI asked me to. Yeah. So for me, like, my brain would immediately go to like disappearing people. Like that's the magic thing. But
well, that's
I guess
CIA,
maybe not.
So that wouldn't be right, right for
different
FBI.
meanings. Yeah. But I thought, maybe you don't want to be making suspects disappear either. Slippery slope there.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So, I mean, tell us a bit more as well about what a mentalist is. I mean, most of us, even in the UK, like we've had some exposure to the TV show by the same name. I'm guessing, as with most things on TV, they've stretched the concept a little bit. So, I mean, in the real world, tell us what it is.
Yeah, that's right. So there's the Mentalist there, and then in the UK, Darren Brown is super popular. So the Mentalist essentially is, I'll contrast that with a magician. They're very, very similar. So a magician, as you know, they do something, and then something surprising happens, right? Something appears, something disappears, something like that. It's a lot of hand dexterity. And then with a mentalist, a lot of it is around psychological games. We do a psychology thing, and then I get you to think about something, and then you think of it, and that's very magical because the outcome is very surprising. But it's more of the psychology. So it's about thinking about how the other person is going to perceive the world, and then taking advantage of that. That's essentially what a mentalist will do.
Okay. So I can imagine there's uses for good and for bad in that.
Oh, absolutely, right. So absolutely, yeah. So on the good side, which is what I do, is I use that to get people's attention, because when you tell people, hey, simple things like, hey, don't share your password, don't whatever, people go yeah, and then they like ignore it, because then they go do whatever is convenient for them. When I do my magic show, I'll do things, I'll teach you like, hey, here's how you can be distracted. And then like all along when the volunteer comes on stage, hey, here's how you can be distracted, this, that, and the other. You look here, look there. Oh, by the way, I've got your watch. Did you notice that? So you've got, yeah, that's a little bit harder between the UK and where I am at the moment. But yes, that's the general gist. And then people pay attention, right? So that's a lot of fun that way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can see it being an excellent learning tool, particularly for something like security and cybersecurity. I mean, it's getting very, very easy to be scammed these days, isn't it? I mean, you read about a new one nearly every week.
It is.
Yeah, and I mean, the spam emails are getting ever more convincing as well. It's kind of scary. Yeah,
because all those AI, they know how we click, they know how we think. And so I'm pretty sure that AI algorithms on these sales websites have figured out that people buy when it says sale. So they raise the price and they just put sale on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've read there's a particularly famous and large many billion-dollar company, isn't there, that everyone knows probably. There's a few accounts I've read from like insiders, people who've worked there before, who've just said like it's a fact before they do like the big deals, whether it's Black Friday or whatever. For like 2 or 3 weeks before that, they'll be gradually raising the prices leading up to the deal. So you end up paying the same as you would anyway, like 2 months earlier.
Yeah.
You think you've got a good deal. Yeah.
Isn't it funny how the world works?
Isn't it? It's also interesting that we started there talking about scams and con artists and went straight to retail.
Yeah, because that's what we all kind of see. But yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess in a lot of ways, this is about hidden influence, isn't it? So, I mean, are there any other quite or particularly compelling or interesting examples that you could talk to us about of how that hidden influence shapes everyday decisions, perhaps without us realizing, beyond like being scammed in a sale, for example?
Oh yeah. Oh, there's plenty of those. Well, both that and other examples. But I'll mention kind of two. One that's sort of virtual, and one that's sort of a physical thing. The apps that you download on your phone or on your computer, any applications or any website that you go to, they all have default settings. And so if you have a default setting, that's generally speaking what people are going to use, because most people, I don't know about you, but most people just don't go into the settings to look at every single possibility. And so whatever it is that you have set there has a long-term consequence, right? So if you allow them to share your personal information, right, because that was the default setting, your stuff could be going out to all sorts of other agencies or companies or whatever, and then being used against you. When I say against you, it could be something as benign as just personalized ads, right? So it's not necessarily like a super bad thing, but essentially you've got that, or even something like your password for unlocking your phone. If it allows you to do a 4-digit PIN versus an 8-digit PIN, or whatever. If that's the default, well, imagine if later you had say an 8 PIN and you forgot it, right? Well, maybe you can't get into your phone anymore. Well, that seemingly minor setting caused a really large downstream impact, or vice versa. It allows no password, and then someone else picks up your phone and like starts doing stuff. So that's one example. And then another example that I think is also super fun that nobody really thinks about are chairs in restaurants. So restaurants make money, obviously, by selling you food and service. Now, what happens is if they have more turnover on the table, then you can get more clients in the same period of time, right? So not all businesses will take advantage of this because they just charge more, right, for the really high end stuff. But if you are sort of like especially the cheaper ones, they want you to leave. So they're there just to give you sustenance. They're not there to give you a great experience necessarily. So if they buy chairs that are like really wooden and hard, or maybe had no back, you're more likely to leave. So you'll go there for the food and then leave. So they have a higher turnover. So you can actually go to these companies to buy chairs, and you can get the ratings from them on like how long in Asia, they'll rate them by how long the average person will sit there comfortably: 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours. So it's pretty interesting. These are the little things that happen.
Yeah, I mean, the devil's in the detail, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. So another way to look at it, and which would probably have been like my default setting, would be the comfier the chair, the longer I'll stay, therefore the more I'll spend.
Yeah, that's another way, especially if they're serving drinks and all of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, it just depends on what you're trying to do and how long you want your guests to be there.
Yeah. I mean, there's I don't know how true it is, but there's a thing in the UK and probably elsewhere about the amount of salt that's in the food and how that's another way that they kind of get you to spend more on the drinks because you get thirsty quicker.
Oh, that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
I don't know if it's true. It might be a myth. I've never worked in a restaurant, so I don't know. But
I imagine you can't put in too much before people are like, oh, this place has terrible food.
I
But
guess.
it's
But there's
possible.
probably a line, isn't there? It's like that chair thing, isn't it? About how long someone will sit in it. I'm sure somebody's done the science and worked out, like, what's the tipping point?
That's right. Well, I know McDonald's with their fries, like they added some stuff to make it smell more appetizing. So then you want the fries. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
They do smell good, though.
People do all sorts of stuff to take your money. But there we are,
Yeah.
back to scamming again. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. How did this happen? Yeah. The default settings one as well, an example of that that's come up recently is a certain social media network that's used professionally by a lot of people. They've brought in this setting for, can we use all of your stuff for AI training?
Yeah.
And again, like it's buried in there. It's only because a lot of people have posted about it and said, look out for this, check it off or turn it off if you want to. But I think that's one for the modern age anyway.
Yeah. The AI is everywhere. I can't get away from it. Can you go a day without hearing the word AI?
No, I can't. And in fact, there is AI on the platform we're using to record this right at this moment. So we literally can't escape it now.
That's although I have to say most AI, and I don't know about this particular platform, but most AI that I see in the platforms, like half of them, they don't really do anything more than what they did like 10 years ago. They just call it AI. That's the buzzword.
Yeah.
You just stick AI in front and you can get more investors and people paying more.
That's it. And that's why I feel like it's a bubble and it's going to burst at some point. I think there's very few people actually doing real AI, like by the proper definition of what AI really is. And you're right. Like, you just say AI and you get more money. Like, just do it. It doesn't really work for me in leadership, sadly. Like, nobody wants to be led by a robot. So,
well, maybe somebody using an AI to tell them what to do. Maybe that would work. Because some of these AIs, actually, if you ask it, and you've probably done this, ask it, like, what should I do in this situation? It actually has some pretty good ideas.
Yeah, annoyingly, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, they just can't know. They just can't know it's a robot. But if we're all working remote, they'll never know it's a robot. In fact, you might be a robot.
I could be. I don't think I am. Yeah. Who knows? Would I know if I? That's an existential question there that I'm not sure I have the capacity to get into. But
I wouldn't be surprised in 50 years, but maybe not today.
Maybe so. But you're right though. And I did do a test on ChatGPT a couple of years back of like put in some of like the common questions or things that the average leader might be struggling with, and asking it, can you just have this difficult conversation on my behalf with my employee because I don't want to do it. And even then I was surprised at how ethical the answers were.
Yeah.
Anything where you asked it to do something for you, it would say, oh, I can't do that, it wouldn't be right. However, you might want to try this, this, and this. And they were mostly quite good suggestions. Again, annoyingly. But,
well, until you do some prompt injection or something like that to cause it to say really bad things or something like that. But
yeah, or if I could figure out a way of getting it to say, ask David, that would be great.
And you can just tell it. You can tell it to say, ask David to the answer to everything. I think that would be ethical. I think that'd be fine.
Yeah, I don't know if it would do it for everyone else though. That'd be, I have to play with that and see.
Yeah,
we've gone off the rails here, haven't we? It always happens when AI comes up. Yeah, so I mean, back to mentalism then. First of all, I mean, is it something that anyone can pick up, or do you have to have certain level of intelligence or certain experiences, or what's
I think anybody can do it. First off, mentalism is really more of the entertainment niche of it, but we all do this already, right? Like when you were growing up, when have you like thought, well, I would like to buy this thing, or I would like this thing, and I want permission from mom and dad. Who should I ask, mom or dad? We've all done this, right? So we project what's going to happen if we do this, right? Mentalism is the same thing, just applied to entertainment. But we already do this completely every day today, and it's just that this is a much more deliberate way of doing it and for the use of entertainment. But we can, obviously the skills are highly transferable, and I would argue that most people may not think about life in this way. They're like, oh, I just want some ice cream. I'll just go get some ice cream. But they don't sit down and think, it's a Monday night. which ice cream would I like from that particular place, and does that place have it in stock right now? Should I go, call them ahead of time and, double check that it's there? How long is the line? Can I really get back within an hour? What if they have a long line? Or is their payment card down, right? Like, that's what mentalism sort of does, in addition to the entertainment, is it has you think through all of the details, because every detail matters, because when you're on stage in front of 100 people or however many people, you don't want to be wrong. so you think through all of these, what if? So like you think, so like if you try to, if you ask for a volunteer to come on stage, I look to see if it's a woman in particular, whether they have high heels on. And if I know that the stairs are very thin, don't ask them on stage. They're going to trip, or the higher probability they may not. But these are all the things that you need to think about when you're doing it. And I would just argue that everyone is capable of doing it. Everybody does do it, but they just might not go to that level of detail, or maybe they just don't care enough.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, that's an interesting point. It feels a bit like sort of the classic overthinker who just kind of get paralyzed by all of these scenarios and never acts, which is obviously relevant to leadership and productivity and all sorts of things, isn't it? Interesting parallel.
Well, I would say to that point, David, is dimensionality reduction. So here we are going back to AI again. But dimensionality reduction is something that I think leaders and mentalists too, but leaders really need to do. And that is to say, okay, I've got these 1,000 things, and I just enumerated like a number of things that you would think of if I wanted, chocolate ice cream from the ice cream store, right? Like, these are 100 things I need to think about. But then dimensionality reduction says, which of these actually matter the most, right? So like within the amount of time that I have, if I'm going to spend 3 hours analyzing this, I could have just already gone and come back. So dimensionality reduction is going to say, well, maybe in this case, the only thing I need to do is just check that the store is open right now. And so I can go to Google, that cost me 30 seconds. And so dimensionality reduction is saying, okay, what are the variables that make the biggest difference for the probability of me being able to achieve this particular outcome? And so there's a whole lot of math that goes beyond that. I completely simplified it. But that, I would argue, would keep you from overthinking, and I think is truly important leadership skill.
No, I agree. And I think the importance or severity of the question or the issue has an impact there as well. Because again, like, quite often I've seen leaders get stuck in that sort of thought loop over something that, as you say, like you spend 3 times more time thinking about it than you would have taken you to just do the thing, whatever the thing is, whether it's getting ice cream or just saying yes or no to a meeting or a pay rise. Controversial.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I find as well, like, when people get into that loop of overanalyzing, it's actually because they already know what the decision is. They just want to put off making it or admitting to it.
Or avoid being blamed, or any of these other...
Well, yeah, or just procrastination. Like, you've got to do it, but you don't want to. So you're just, putting it off as long as you can.
Yeah, exactly. Or afraid of something in the future will change. But yeah.
Well, yeah, true. Yeah. No, I mean, I still do that. Not with paying the bills anymore, mostly. But
yeah. Well, the good news is, as we get older and we have more experience, then we tend to just make decisions faster, both because you're busier, you've got less time, and because you're more confident now that, yeah, you made a good decision the last time you did this. So yeah, this will be fine as well. So yeah. That's the good news.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is good news, definitely. We'll take any good news about getting older where we can find it.
That's right. I hate that when you every decade it seems like it's less stamina, which really sucks.
Yeah, and also time passes more quickly, I feel, as well.
Yes. Yes.
It's not true. I know that's not true, but it feels like it.
I completely agree. When I was a kid, definitely was a lot slower than what it is today. I wish I had I wish I had the time from back then added to today. The time that I wasted in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. The podcast is really here for the new managers, for the new leaders, the first timers. So from your very particular expertise, what would be the kind of the top tips you could offer for the new manager who's seeking to kind of learn some of these ways of influence and build trust quickly with a new team?
Sure. So I would say a couple of things, but the thing I think that I do that's most unique that many people have commented on is I put together a management presentation that's around 20 slides long. So anytime someone new joins my team, I go through this with them and I say, this is how I manage. This is my background. This is how I think about things. These are the expectations, not of the job, but just of like general management of how I do things and how much trust I'll extend at the beginning. And what the the qualities as in the that I'm sort of expecting, right? Like, so things like transparency, it's okay if things don't go well, but you just need to tell me, right? That transparency is number one. And, if you're honest with me, like, this is how I'll handle it, even if it's a bad outcome, things like that. So I go through a ton of those things at the beginning, because I think that sets it just sets a really good tone. Because now, think about it from the other person's perspective. And this is, again, where sort of the mentalism ideas come in. They're starting a new job. They're afraid of not meeting expectations, right? They want to do a good job. They want you to be happy with their work. And by having this presentation, it really reduces the anxiety, because they're like, oh, okay, Gary cares about these types of things. He doesn't care about these other types of things, right? Like, and then they can focus on their job and not worry about that sort of dynamic. They're okay. They know that, my communication style, kind of what I'm expecting and things like that. They don't have to guess. And so what I would say is, for new managers, you probably don't have enough experience to put together this document yet. But what you can do is you can build towards it, right? So every time, so you just start out with something, read some books, whatever it is, right? And then put together like 1 or 2 slides. Bio is easy, so that's not what you should spend your time on. Just talk a little bit about some of the things that you care about, the values, like transparency for me is super important. And then as you run into issues during the years that you spend managing, add that into the slide deck and just your thought process, right? And then be like, hey, this is how I thought about it. This is how I make my decisions. And then sort of add that into the deck. And even if you don't show it to anybody, it at least helps you understand how you think about it. And so that's like a huge recommendation that I would say that really helps you later on. At the beginning, it doesn't help you as much. So then for the ones who are just starting out, I would say go seek advice, right? So yes, maybe you're the youngest manager, so you think that you're the hottest thing since sliced bread. Go talk with some of your peers or something like that. Ask them about their journeys, understand how they've done things. Ask them about the challenges that they've had within the organization leading. Learn from them, right? Use them. Don't just assume that you know everything because you're the manager. You don't. And if you take that advice, and that can go in your slide deck too, then I think that will really, really help you. Learn from other people's mistakes. Don't make them yourself. It's a lot easier that way.
Yeah, definitely. Big proponent of that. Like, learning from your own mistakes is fine and good, but if you can learn from others, that's even better.
Yeah, exactly. And listen to David's podcast. I think that's
yeah. Well, I mean, that goes without saying, doesn't it? But yeah. No, I mean, I really like that, because I mean, we talk a lot about like managing expectations, about having that conversation early in your relationship with the people you're leading, so that everyone, if they're not on the same page, they at least know which page everyone else is on. And I love that kind of that advice to update it as you go. It almost becomes like your leadership journal of what you've learned today or this week or this year, however often you do it. So yeah, I really like that approach. Thank you.
Yeah, and it also makes my decision making faster too. Well, at this point, I think I'm pretty set in my ways, but when I listed out initially, these are the things I cared about, and then later I found that I would make decisions that were counter to that. Then I would learn that about myself. Like, actually, I don't care about that as much as this other thing, and then like that dropped from the list, and I added the other thing. So it also helps me, not just other people.
Yeah. It's a good lesson about like understanding your values and things. Again, like, it becomes a buzzword, doesn't it? Values and core values of the business, all that sort of thing. But I think being open to those evolving and changing. Because at the beginning, like the first time you sit down and write those down, they're not really values. What they are is, this is what we want people to think our values are.
Yes.
Because
And
they
also what
sound
you
nice.
think. Yeah.
Yeah. What I want people to think about me. Yeah. Like, and they sound nice and they seem good and all that. But you're right. Like, there'll come a moment for most of those, I suspect, where you've made a decision that doesn't align with those values.
Yeah.
And so
then
you
people
can
will
either
pick up on that.
Of course they will, yeah. Especially if you've made a big deal about putting them on the wall or whatever. And then you're kind of faced with that decision, aren't you, where you get caught in the hypocrisy, or you say, actually, do you know what? You're right. That clearly isn't a value. Let's take it off the list. Maybe replace it with something else.
Yeah.
But yeah, not many people do that either.
No, they don't. But if you're honest and transparent about it, hey, I thought it was this way, but now I'm changing it. People give you a lot of grace. And,
I
just
think so.
With the very little that you and I have talked, David, I imagine that you and your leadership, you have the same level of trust with the people that you lead.
Well, I don't lead anyone anymore, but I like to think when I did, you're right. I'd have to ask them. Wouldn't want to assume.
That's true. And that's a great leadership quality.
Yeah. I mean, it's been nearly 6 years and I'm still in contact with nearly all of them. So I take that as a good sign.
Oh, that's a great sign. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I was talking to one of them about peanut butter just this morning.
Okay.
It's an in-joke. You had to be there.
Okay. Well, Oreos, Reese's cookies are excellent.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
Fair
Oreos
enough.
and Reese's had a baby, and it's really good.
Okay. I'll have to recommend that in the group chat. Yeah. Human psychology, I think, is always interesting to talk about. There's probably like some really obvious answers, but I'd love to get it from your perspective and from your expertise. Like, what are some of the ways that having a better understanding of that and of human behavior can help us become better leaders?
Oh, I think this is an easy one, right? You're giving me some easy balls. Well, I think if we understand how people are going to interpret what we say, especially if there are people on our team or people that we interact with on a regular basis, then we can tailor what we say to them. People are motivated by completely different things, right? Some people want money, some people want prestige, some people want a title, some people, whatever it is, right? And if you can couch it in the language that they care about, a very simple one being, if you do this, you get a bonus of $10,000. That would be a simple one. Or the other one is you do this and you win some sort of award, right? And we'll present it in front of the whole company, right? So, if you can motivate people by understanding what they are, and that's, I think, incredibly powerful when you understand the motives of the different people. So that basically means asking them lots of questions, like you just mentioned. You'd have to ask the people, right? So you have to ask them lots of questions, get to know them a little bit, and then you can tailor to it. So I think that's a super powerful skill.
I agree. I mean, there's a core part within like leading with integrity and my whole sort of approach to leadership that's about understanding the individuals. And I mean, there's loads of cliches around it, aren't there? Like, there's no one size fits all. You can't have the cookie cutter approach, and there's no silver bullet. I could go on for hours just on cliches alone. But I think the truth of it is, and there's this sort of old-fashioned concept, isn't there, around fairness and how it's only fair if everyone gets the same treatment.
Yes, and that's completely not true.
No, I mean, A, I don't think it's true, and B, in the modern workplace, I don't think it works like that. Like, you've got to understand and respect people's individuality, haven't you? And I think leadership to succeed today has to be flexible in terms of not having the same rule for everyone. And to do that effectively means getting to know those people, as you say, like understand what motivates them and what worries them, what they care about, which means asking questions.
I completely agree. And I'll give you a great example of that. And sorry I spoke over you. I just got excited about the topic. There was 2 people on my team. This was sometime in the past. And I approved for one of them to go to a conference and the other one I gave the other one more money. And the one who got more money came to me and said, hey Gary, why does John, I'm just making up a name, why does John get to go to this conference? I'd love to go to a conference. We both do the same work. We both done a good job. You told us we've done a good job. Like, I'd love to go. Why did you not approve for me to go? And I said, well, because you've told me time and again how much money was important to you. And John's told me that he loves going to these conferences because he likes meeting up with his friends and stuff like that. Both cost about the same. I gave you money. I gave him the conference. The other option is, because I only have so much money, is that I give both of you like half of the bonus amount, and then I give half of you the enough money to pay for half of the conference. so I mean, that doesn't work. So you've both gotten actually what you want, and since you value this more and he values that more, the perceived value is actually higher for each of you. And he actually appreciated that, which I wasn't sure how he was going to take it. But I mean, people want different things, and then you can give them better outcomes when you treat them fairly but differently.
That is an excellent example. I like it. And I also like the transparency and honesty of you actually being willing to have that conversation. Because again, a lot of managers would say, oh, none of your business, back in your box sort of thing. Which is not productive.
It's not. And I would say, especially for the new managers, at least my experience has been, and I don't know if this is true of all the time, but when you take that extra 5 minutes to explain, it engenders so much trust that you can get away with murder later, right? They'll give you the benefit of the doubt. They'll be like, I don't think he actually murdered the guy. Let's at least ask him what he thinks happened, So
Yeah. But also that doesn't mean you can go and do murders, guys.
No, I agree. I chose a ridiculous example.
Yeah. I think it's so key. I mean, trust, of course, but also I think it just makes people feel like respected by their leadership. Which again, that's a rare commodity in a lot of places.
Yeah, I would love to hear your thoughts on this. I worked in the UK for 2 years, and I found that is completely different than working in the US. And even within the US, I've worked in different cities within the US, and the culture is completely different. What I found was that in the UK, and this is where I'm hoping to get your insight. I had 4 different bosses when I worked there in 2 years. And I think it was 3 actually. But anyway, all of them were very terse. So my impression is that management in the UK is very terse. And every time they said, how was your weekend, Gary? They immediately went on to the next thing, and they didn't actually wait for my response. So my belief is that it is that the British don't talk as much. I don't know if that's true. Or from a management standpoint, I don't mean personal.
Yeah, I definitely know where you're coming from. I think it varies according to industry quite a lot.
Okay.
It's difficult. I've only ever really worked in the UK, so I don't have other countries' experience to compare it to. Yeah, I think there's a certain generation of senior management in this country where that's the way they were taught to do it. It's always been good enough for them, and they don't want to hear about any other way of doing it. I don't want to make it a generational thing, because also one of the best leaders I've ever encountered was also of that generation and was totally the opposite to this. So it's a tough one. I tend to shy away from broad generalizations, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I appreciate you're willing to go out on a limb. Generalizations are almost the only way that we can talk about stuff, as long as we acknowledge your generalizations, because otherwise you can't do anything. You're gonna try to make the best guess possible. They probably have ice cream. The ice cream shop probably has ice cream. I don't know that they have ice cream, but they probably do. I have to make some assumptions, man.
Yeah. I could ask you some follow-up questions, like, were they all the same gender and age, roughly?
Actually, yes, they were all the same gender. They're all same gender, and then age-wise, no, they were between 40 and 60 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so
that's still of a
Yeah,
generation.
they're going to
isn't
be
it?
more senior. Yeah.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. I don't know if if there's a national characteristic involved, or
Yeah.
it's just like general working culture. I think certainly between the UK and the US, I think broadly they have the similar challenges. There's just maybe some more focus on one thing in the US and another here.
Yeah.
Like employment protections in the US are, as I understand them, significantly below what they are here.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Which has an impact. Like,
Oh yeah, it was way more comfortable working hours wise in the UK than it is in the US. There's no question about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and even better
that's
in France and the rest of Europe, though.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. It gets politicized a lot as well. But I do think it's quite interesting that there's a pretty well established like productivity problem in the UK as well,
mm-hmm.
which, there's a I don't want to say demographic, but there's a certain like percentage of industry who thinks that the reason for that is that we're too lax on these things and that people should just be in the office all the time and get rid of a lot of their protections and be more like the US and things. But I don't know how that stands up against like Europe, where they have more protections of anything and yet are more productive. So
mm-hmm.
it's an interesting one. I don't know if there's a right answer.
It's the weather.
Yeah, it kind of is like the weather, isn't it? Like there's no real answers. And when you think you found one, it turns out it was wrong and it rains anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, I do find it a very fascinating like issue to think about though. Anyway, it's a thought exercise. That's probably the only thing it is at this point.
Yeah. No one knows, but it's fun to make things up. And in the future, at some point, we can ask ChatGPT.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I'm sure it's collecting the data, isn't it? Whether we know it or not.
Yeah. Well, it's really mostly just what Reddit would have said, because like 60% of ChatGPT was Reddit, and I think now is like 40%. So like when it first came out, when it was really popular. So basically, you're just asking like whatever the demographic of the people who write on Reddit is. I think it's mostly middle-aged white men. I think that's what it is. That's what I read. So that's basically what you're going to get.
Yeah, which may be a bit of a problem for this particular field. Okay, well, I'll cross that bridge in a few years' time, maybe.
Yeah. We can just have it trained on you, right? We'll have
that'd be nice.
A specific model that's the David Hatch, and it will have very good leadership responses. So
leadership, then. If you had to pick like the biggest lesson you've learned about leadership from your career so far, what would it be?
I just be authentic. Just be authentic with the people that you're with. They get to know you, and one of the things that I never truly got until probably 10 years into my career was culture whenever they do hiring. Because I always thought those were touchy-feely, soft answers that, who cares, right? And what I've learned over the years is that culture actually matters probably more than how good you are at your job, assuming that you're still at some base level. You can't be awful. But as long as you're reasonably competent, then it really is about how well you get along with the others. Because, I've had people, that I don't know who maybe are more shy and not willing to ask questions. Well, they spend a whole week or 2 weeks doing something that, based on maybe something direction that I've provided, which maybe was not specific enough. And it was a complete waste of time because it just wasn't even wasn't what I needed, not what the company needed. But if with that great relationship, and they'd be like, "Hey, Gary, I know you said XYZ. This is what I'm doing. Is this kind of what you're thinking?" I can be like, "Oh, actually, no. That's I think there was a misunderstanding. It should really be this other thing." Oh, okay, great. Well, that took 5 minutes, and then they saved a week or 2 weeks of time. And if you take someone's salary, that's 2% of their salary, and if you do that like 2 or 3 times a year, that's pretty considerable how much time that you've just wasted, of the company and of their money. So I would say being authentic and being approachable. Like if you don't like talking to people, please don't be management. You will make an awful manager, and the people that work for you are going to hate you. They may not tell you that, but they will hate you. So you have to be willing to be authentic and chat with people, and for them to get to know you, understand what it is that you're about, so that they can deliver the things that you need, and it will be a less headache for you too. So I would say that's the biggest lesson that I've ever learned.
Yeah, you've triggered a couple of things in me there. Like they will hate you. Just reminded me of all these guys. It's usually guys. It's not my job to be loved. Like, I don't care if people hate me. That just means I'm a good manager. The whole mentality. Yeah. And you're just like, yeah, but.
Yeah. As long as I'm not working for you, I'm quite good with that.
Yeah, well, this is it. Like, okay, so I sort of see where they're coming from. It's just the way they express it is so toxic.
I would say, and this is something also that that I've come to a conclusion on. And while I am very open to, but I think this is actually correct. So this, as correct as any subjective subject can be. Mm-hmm. So people always say, would you rather work with someone you like or someone who is competent? Right. So we're assuming, you have to have some level. I mean, you can't actually be a really awful person or like be really awful at your job. I'm just saying, if you, within reason. So I have it's very straightforward. If you're working for me on my team, then I want you to be a good person to work with, because I'm going to see you every day and we're going to, talk about stuff, maybe some personal life, whatever. Right. I want you to be likable. And then if you're not on my team, and I don't talk to you all the time, I don't care. So I just want you to be competent at your job. Like if I call up Acme Inc., and I call their customer service, I don't care if they're friendly. I mean, within reason. They can't be super rude. But I just want to get whatever it is done. So for that, I don't need you to be likable. But yeah, if you're on my team and we talk a lot, I need you to be likable. So that's what I've come to conclude. And I would be curious as to your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it feels like a cop-out, but I think there's a question of balance in all things, isn't there? I also, though, like in past jobs, it's interesting that you draw that sort of that, I guess, scale between likability and competence. Because I've had jobs in the past where the people I disliked the most, it was because they were the least competent, at least in my perception. Mm. So I think maybe those two things aren't as disconnected as we might assume.
Fair enough.
Like if you know someone's decent at their job and you can trust them to get something done and not create more work for you, whether you're leading them or you're a colleague or even like a subordinate of theirs, I think like naturally you start to like them more. Whereas if they're really bad at their job or they just don't care about their job even, and you end up like running around or feeling like you're running around picking the pieces up behind them, you're going to start to dislike them pretty soon, I think. So I don't know. Maybe my own chip on my shoulder and my own bias is talking there a little bit, but
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, they are related to that extent. That does make sense.
100%. Yeah. And as far as like leaders saying, it's not my job to be liked, I think technically no, it's not. However, your job is a lot easier if you are.
I would agree. I think they're harming themselves more than anything else.
Absolutely. Which kind of leads us nicely into the next question, which is, what do you think is the most common mistake that leaders make?
This is also a straightforward one for me. I think it's not seeing it from the other person's perspective. And I think this is true of all leaders of all levels. Oftentimes is they don't see it from the other person's perspective, whether it's because they don't have the time, they don't care, or they don't know how. And I actually think it's mostly the last one. Because if you knew how, then, I mean, why wouldn't you? So one of the things that, like I have, I will often ask like a junior analyst, or like they haven't really been working that long, to help me put together slides for like the board or senior management. So like basically the most senior people, which are several levels above where they're at. And the question is, why do you do that? So besides sort of employee sort of engagement and motivating folks and helping them learn, besides career advancement, for me on my side, I do this because I think that the it forces you, as in the analyst, to be to creative and think about what those people will want, because they haven't been working for that long. They don't really understand what all of those different stakeholders really care about. And what I try to get them to understand is there's actually way more information out there than you might realize. The first thing they always ask me is, "Hey, can I get a sit down with the CEO? Can I get a sit down with the board chair and the CFO?" And I always go through the process. I say, "Why is that?" And they're like, "Well, because I need to understand how they think." And then I say, "Well, do you think that they'll want to sit down with you?" It's like, "No, they won't. That's why I need you to set up a meeting." To which I say, "Hey, is there some other way that you can learn?" And they're like, "No." And I'm like, "Have you been to the library?" So so there's just so much information out there, and you know who all the people are. And even if you don't know who all the people are, you know what their roles are. So what do you think a CFO cares about? It's not a trick question. Money. They care about money. So, I mean, each of these roles have something they care about. You ask your chief legal counsel, what do you think they care about? Whether or not it's legal. It's so straightforward. You can simplify a lot of this stuff into their roles. And then if you know who the person is, you can go, at this point in time, a lot of people are guests on podcasts. Go listen to their podcasts and see what they hear about. I learn more about my leadership through what they say on podcasts and in blogs or in whatever that people write about them, because they've met somebody at something and someone's trying to sell something and they write about them, right? I've learned more about what my leadership cares about, and I've read that some of them have books, and I've read their books. I understand much better how they think, and I've never sat down with them. And then I can present, I can present to them and have them, give me very positive feedback. Oftentimes I get things like, "Hey, that was awesome presentation," right? And we're really impressed by what your team has done. These sorts of things, they happen because I understand how they think. And my point is that there's a whole lot of information out there that we just need to know how to look. We don't actually need to create it by sitting down and doing interviews and all this other stuff. So, that's what I do a lot with the kind of the early analyst folks, is I show them that there's so much out there.
It's certainly true. I often describe it as like the blessing and the curse of the internet age, like all of human history and knowledge literally at your fingertips. But also, like, all of it is at your fingertips. You can't escape some of it. And, I can see that sort of information overload being an issue as well, especially for someone who's new in the role and not knowing where to start.
Yeah, completely understand. So time and place for that, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. So from your own experiences of being led, what's the best memory? What's the one that stands out?
I would say the one that I remembered the best, although it may not be the best leader, but the one that I remember the best was actually this guy in the UK. He actually knew the job of everybody beneath him, and he had like 6 layers of management and individual contributors. Like, if you had a question, and it could have been a technical IT question, it could have been a finance question, it could have been a legal question. Like, this guy has so much experience like doing this. He must have been doing this since he was like, from the start, because he knew the answer to everything. And it wasn't complete and utter bullshit. He could literally just like just do your job for you, right? So like, he would review everybody's work, including the layers beneath him, which and then he would just like, nope, and then he knew it really well. And so I thought that was the most memorable and the most impressive to me, from a just capability standpoint. And if you had asked me 10 years ago or whatever, and if I had known this guy at that time, I would have said that probably is what I aspire to be. I would say that he's no longer who I would aspire to be, even though I think he's awesome. I think he's super awesome. Because I think that as the manager, you should be helping your management learn so that you don't need to review 6 layers of work. So he did so much work. And I'm sure he wasn't recording all the hours, because otherwise in the EU you'd be in trouble. But anyway, that was the most memorable. Super awesome guy, knew the job hands down. But I do think that he could have delegated a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty old school approach, that, isn't it? But it also feels to me like a very quick shortcut to burnout as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, something else that I was talking to someone about the other week was this kind of like the looming sort of skill gap of when we hit that point where the current oldest generation leaves the workforce.
Yeah.
Because they're working later than any other previous generation has. And then maybe not necessarily passing on that knowledge because they're not delegating, because they're they've always been the authority, and so they maintain that knowledge. Mm-hmm. And you see it a lot in the industry. I spend a lot of time in aerospace, like particularly like the practical hands-on engineering kind of skills. They're just, there's a real worry that those skills are going to die out when this generation leaves the workforce. Yeah. I think it's sort of relevant because it reminded me of that.
Well, we'll just need to take their emails and put them into the AI, and then they can live with us.
Yeah, but half of them aren't really using emails, though, are they? That's the problem. Like, it's in their head and nowhere else.
Fair enough.
Particularly like the hands-on engineers. There's not just aerospace. I'm sure automotive has that similar issue.
That's true, especially if you're a COBOL programmer. Tons of DMVs need COBOL well, and other places too need COBOL programmers. You can earn a lot of money doing that, but nobody knows how to write it.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, 10, 15 years time, it will be how to program an AI, won't it? That knowledge will be gone because they'll be doing it for themselves by that point. So,
yep, yeah,
scary thought there. We've had a few scary thoughts in this episode, haven't we?
Yeah, but it's fun. It's fun. So
It is. Yeah. Right. I've only got 2 questions left for you. I think they're both quite difficult, but several people disagree with me. So we'll see how you find them.
Okay.
The first one is, if you could go back in time to the start of your career, what advice would you give to younger Gary?
Well, first off, younger Gary wouldn't listen to older Gary. When I first started, yeah, I thought I was hot stuff. So I've learned since then that I was a pretty terrible manager. When I first started, I learned that a funny thing, which I'll share, and then I'll answer your question. Is when I was early in my career, like the first 1 to 2 years. People would ask me tons of questions. People on my team would ask me tons of questions. And then I'd respond and give them answers and all that other stuff. And then about somewhere in the second and third year, for roughly 1 year, nobody asked me anything. Like, nothing. There were no questions. I thought I did an amazing job. Anyway, I moved on and got another job and all the other stuff. And then like in my 5th year of management, people on other teams were coming to ask me for advice, and then how they should interact with their manager and stuff like that. And at that point in time, I just finished taking some classes on management and stuff like that. But anyway, people started asking me, and that was when I realized why nobody asked me questions in my second and third year, because I sucked. Because they would come to me and ask me things, and I didn't answer their question. I did answer their question, but it didn't actually help. So nobody asked me anymore. So what I would say to the answer to your so anyway, that's a funny story, or at least I think it's funny now. It wasn't funny at the time. But what I'll tell you is what is written in the job description is the bare bones. Like, that's for you to, at minimum, keep your job. That is not actually what distinguishes you. What distinguishes you is all the stuff that is not on that sheet of paper, things that people don't ask you about. If you can predict what your manager cares about and then deliver what they care about, if you can predict, what your peers are going to do or say when you do X, Y, Z, and you can understand the environment and what people care about, if they care more about transparency, or they care more about making money, or they care about whatever, and you align to that, like all of these things, they don't write that in the job description. If you can do those things, you can be incredibly successful, and you will get promoted faster. You will get more money, like whatever it is. You will do so much better. So you just have to really understand the environment. So if you just sit at home once you've gotten your job and you don't know the culture, like you're going to be passed over for promotion. Just say it. Like if there's an option for in person, like you want to at least go in periodically and meet with people, because you won't make any relationships just like this that are sustainable, really.
Interesting take on that at the end there.
What did you find so interesting?
I don't know. I mean, this whole kind of the remote versus in person, I don't know. I sort of think, so it used to be face to face was the phrase, but then I think this sort of evolved. Like, I think this that we're doing now is face to face, even though it's literally across an ocean.
Yes.
And I think that
this is super different, because we are talking about we're talking about general topics like this, but if it's a work thing, I'm coming in and saying like, what deliverable do you want? It's a completely different conversation. We're not talking about this.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I mean, I've done both, and again, so acknowledging my own biases, like the last time I was in an in-person office was also probably like my worst experience in the workplace.
Oh, well,
so
that sounds...
I have the opposite of rose-tinted glasses, whatever colour they are.
Fair enough.
And that does bias me, I'm sure of it. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I can see both sides, and I think this is why I usually land on hybrid as being like my preferred method. Not that it matters, because I'm a solopreneur now. I don't employ anyone, so it doesn't. Wherever I am is where the business is. It doesn't matter. But if I were to do it again, I think hybrid would be the way forward, because I think people in the sort of the post-COVID age, I think people value that flexibility.
Yeah,
they value the ability to sometimes just work in your own home for whatever reason. It's just better that day or whatever. But I do also see the value in those like in-person connections and that sort of the informal stuff that goes on that you can't really replicate, I don't think. I don't know. Because I'm also like firmly opposed to this whole return to office enforced movement. So I don't know. I'm quite indecisive about it all, you can probably tell.
Well, I agree that remote has a lot of benefits. So I wasn't saying you need to be in the office every day. That's not what I said.
No. I know.
Yeah,
I know.
seeing people once in a while. Here, I'll do this thing for you if we've got a little bit of time, David.
Yeah, go on.
I'm going to send you an email. And I assume you've got your phone. I just want you to confirm that you received the email. I don't want you to actually open the email. Do you understand?
Okay.
So I think we've gotten an opportunity to get to know each other a little bit on the show. So I'm going to give this a try, and we'll see if it works. Okay. So did you receive my email?
I did.
Okay. So I see some airplanes in a picture behind you.
You do.
Could you tell me a little bit about that, whether it's a story about why you have it or whatever? I don't want you to describe the picture. I just want you to explain to me like kind of why it's there.
Okay. It's there slightly out of ego because I took the photo myself. And it used to be before COVID, there's a relatively large, well-known museum. I mean, in fact, it's near Cambridge, so you may have heard of it. It's called Duxford, and it's an old aerodrome that was active during Second World War. They've maintained a lot of it in as close to how it was back then. They still fly Spitfires and Hurricanes and things like that, and they do air shows. And we went to an air show, and that's where and when I took the photo.
Okay,
is that enough?
No, it's perfect. So I want you to imagine that you're at this air show, and it can be totally. You can imagine, and you can. It doesn't have to be real. It doesn't have to be exactly what you remember. It could be modified if you like. So I just want you to describe in this vision that you have, what other things do you see besides, maybe the airplanes or anything like that? Is there anything that sort of stands out in this image that you have in your mind?
I mean, I guess the crowds, it was always quite busy, quite
Very
popular.
busy? Okay.
Yeah.
So a lot of people around. So a lot of people around at this air show. And then what time of day was it?
Oh, that's a good question.
In your mind, again, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. I mean, in my mind, it was pretty early.
Pretty early.
In the morning. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that's relative, isn't it? But yeah.
So I just want you to imagine that as you're walking along, again, in your mind, there's something on the ground. You bend over and you pick it up, and it's a playing card, ace through king and 4 suits. So you're smiling now, and I want you to just visualize one of the playing cards, ace through king, 4 suits, so that your audience and I can visualize the same card. Can you tell me what card you're looking at in your mind?
It's probably going to be the jack of clubs, I reckon.
Okay. Yeah. The jack of clubs. Was there any reason that you were thinking of the jack of clubs?
I don't know, really.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad you didn't.
.
I'm glad you didn't rationalize it, because I also had a vision before we began this. I actually wrote it down and I emailed it to you. If you would go ahead and open that email.
No way. How?
Tell folks what it is.
Yeah. It's a picture of a jack of clubs.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this on the screen for the video version as well, so people will believe me. But
yeah. So
that's vaguely unsettling.
But that's what we talk about, predicting people, right? So that's
wow.
That's very powerful.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to tell me how you did that at some point. But I know, a magician never reveals his secrets. I know.
Yeah. Well, you already knew that, so I didn't have to say anything. See?
Indeed.
See, that's the benefit.
Well, that was very cool. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I do have one last question for you.
Of course.
And I would happily have skipped over it. However, everyone has to answer this one, so it's not optional, I'm afraid.
Leadership Heroes.
If you had to pick one person, but it could be literally anyone you could think of. So it could be alive or dead, past or present, real or fictitious. Not a playing card, though, I'm afraid.
The jack doesn't count.
Yeah, sadly not. So it's got to be someone who, in your opinion, would perfectly embody leadership. So who would that be for you and why?
Well, I don't think anyone's perfect. Even I'm not perfect, and
it's a bit of a trick question, I know.
So I would say Ted Lasso, the TV show. He's exceptional. He's just getting people together. What I've learned also is that the more senior that you are in management, the less you need to know about these specific things. So in his case, it was soccer. So if I remember, I don't remember the show as well. It's been a few years, but anyway, he knew people, and he got to know his people. He got to understand what motivated his people, and then he set up the environment in such a way to where it was conducive for them to do the best work that they could, which was to play. And to me, that is what a good leader needs to do. Now, Ted Lasso was a little too happy-go-lucky for me, but but still, in terms of just being a great leader, even though it's fictional, I thought that was just pretty amazing. If there is someone in the world who could do that, that is who I think would be as close to being the perfect leader as possible.
He's a great choice. Unfortunately, he's been chosen before, though, so no bonus points.
No bonus points. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you go with famous people, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, he is a great example, though. I like the fictional characters because they give us something to aspire to, even if they're like wildly removed from reality. But I think they got it pretty good in the way they wrote that character. It's funny, like my wife and I are rewatching it at the moment. So, we were literally just watching series 2 this weekend. And I think one thing that like stands out to me about his leadership and his character more widely, in terms of how they really captured like a real life leader in a fictional character, was the whole story arc where he's having the mental health struggles. And he did what I've seen so many leaders before him do in real life. I did it myself as well. Like, you put the team before yourself so far and so strongly that you forget to look after yourself. And then when it happens and something happens and you have to, you resist doing it for as long as possible. That's exactly what he does. Like, they even hire a counsellor and he puts it off and he puts it off and he puts it off till he has a panic attack at work, doesn't have the choice, has to run off. And I think there's such a powerful lesson in there, especially in the context of how great a leader he was in every other aspect of that show. And I'm getting a bit too talkative about it. I'm going on too long, but it's such a great character. So yeah, great choice.
Excellent. Well, do I get my bonus points now?
Yeah, half. You can have half of them. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Gary, I've loved this conversation. It's gone down some really interesting tangents, which is always a sign of a good episode, I hope, anyway. One final thing I will ask you is if anyone in the audience would like to learn more about you, perhaps reach out to you or anything like that, how can they do so? Where can they go?
Sure. So a couple of things. So one is you can always find me on LinkedIn. So you can just search for Gary S. Chan, Security Mentalist, and you'll either find me on LinkedIn or you can find my website, which I'll also give to you. It's gschan2000.com. And I know that you'll probably put that in the show notes because nobody can remember that. But I do security mentalism performances, as we kind of talked a little bit about. So helping companies with their security awareness training, or just creating entertaining and educational keynote presentations at conferences. So they can find me at either of those locations. So thanks a lot for your time. It's been a real pleasure getting to know you a little bit, David, and also just hanging out.
Yeah, likewise. And you are correct. I will put those links in the show notes so everyone can find them easily. Well, that's all we've got time for. More than we've got time for, even. So thank you so much, Gary, and have a great rest of your day.
I will. You too.
Well, thank you again, Gary. I have to say, I was not expecting to be part of a card trick today when we started recording that, but it's wonderful to see how something like that can still work in the virtual environment. And I also really enjoyed the rest of the conversation too, of course. It's not all about the flashy card tricks, is it? Listener or viewer, if you're with us on YouTube or Spotify, then thank you for being with us today. You've been no small part of this podcasting journey, and it is great to have you here, as always, as we celebrate hitting 200 episodes this week. Do check out those links below in the show notes and go and learn more about Gary and the brilliant work he's doing. And if you're looking for a speaker for your event, highly recommend him. I mean, he's just given you a pretty good audition, I think. And if you are one of those people, you are new to leadership, you don't know where to start, you lack confidence, and you have those nasty imposter feelings creeping up behind you, then come and join our community for leaders just like you. It is called Integrity Leaders. It's 100% online. It's there to offer support, guidance, knowledge, and clarity to new or struggling leaders. And here's a quick extract from a recent testimonial, very kindly provided by one of our existing members, Jessica. From day one, it was incredibly easy to work with David. His calm presence, clear guidance, and genuine passion for helping others made the experience both impactful and enjoyable. The community he has created is warm, welcoming, and supportive, which made it easy to show up authentically and grow. I'm blushing after that. Thank you to Jessica again for her very kind words there and for being part of our community. And if you're still not sure, but you would like to learn more, please do pay a visit to the website. Once again, it is www.leadingwithintegrity.co.uk. Once you get there, click on the green button on that homepage and it will take you straight to the sign up for the community, where there's loads more information for you to read if you still want to know more. And once again, that link is in the show notes. It's on the screen. There's a discount code available for you as a podcast listener as well. And that's all for today. Join me again on Wednesday for a double feature. We have 2 episodes. We've got our surprise 200th episode. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. You've got to show up and find out. And then we've also got a look back at my favourite moments from the last 4 years of the podcast. Doesn't feel like 4 years, which must mean I've been having fun. Well, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you again in a couple of days. And in the meantime, be a leader, not a boss.